We have gangsters all over the place. And when I say, people say, so stop using the word. I say, no. Nigeria is a case of, it's not just political class. It's a case of where lunatics took over the asylum. They're running it in a gangstering way. Everybody's guilty of it. All of us here. This is the only country that will celebrate criminality. Everybody, including the church. They're not exempted. This is the only country you vote Peter Obi in. Everybody knew he doesn't have a house in Ikoyi. When we voted him in, I was living in Festac when I became governor. So everybody knew where I lived. And suddenly he buys a mighty house in Ikoyi, running into billions. Decorates, furnishes everything, and invites the church for housewarming. The church comes in, they are praying for him. Wishing him wherever he got to this thing, they want him to build more. The people, the church people all over the place, waiting to eat and drink, and are praising him. They know where the money came from. It's known to everybody. Because they're saying what the church, the role of the church. They know where the money came from. But instead of calling police and saying, this man has stolen our money, they are the ones celebrating it. It is a place where impunity, rascality, and bad behavior have become a measure of success and power.
You know, Peter Obi is assuming that the church is different from the larger society. And we always make that assumption. That is why it is always easy for us to attack the so-called man of God. The character of society at any time penetrates every sector. Take note. What operates at the larger society, as long as it's acceptable, operates in every sector. So sometimes, when you take on the church, be careful. The church is a continuum of society. If society in general is corrupt, it will be embodied in the church, in the mosque, in the academia. For a society to rise, it is not about what ought to be. It's about what is. And you begin to reform what is. It then penetrates every sector of society. So that is why when you hear that a pastor slept with a girl, you begin to shout, "Pastor!" The pastor is part of the system. Ordinarily, the pastor should be redemptive, but it doesn't work that way. It is about what is, not what ought to be. Obi did not mention the names of the lunatics in question. But Obi's words suggest that a system where political lunatics are running riot is a threat to free and fair elections. Such political climate reproduces itself in every sphere of national life. Perhaps Obi was suggesting a horizon of decency and power for the common good. But Obi's definition of the system did not impress the popular journalist Sam Omatsai. The reason Omatsai announced the obituary of Peter Obi's political career. We will arrive at the details of Omatsai's conclusion on Obi's ways. Remember, we are using Peter Obi, formerly of the Labour Party, Bola Tinubu of the APC, and Atiku Abubakar, formerly of the People's Democratic Party, as the front-runners in a delicate political process, controlled and manipulated by entrenched units of power. Are you there? But what is new is that a third bloc emerged in 2023. That third bloc, you can call them the obedient. They could not be written off, but that third bloc, known as the obedient, made their points in 2023. They were written off at the beginning, but they took the politics by storm. They were renounced for being fierce and unforgiving. After publishing an incisive and daring article entitled Obituary, Sam Masai suddenly realized that powerful bloc of obedience, a bloc of fierce political campaigners, did not take kindly to the title of the article against their candidate, Peter Obi. To prove their sentiment, they designed various graphics announcing the death of a living writer. They pushed the narrative to the extent that Omatsai began to see death hovering over his head. In a Save My Head message on Twitter, the popular columnist, a Tinubu man, tweeted saying, "Mr. Peter Obi, call your supporters to order. They are calling and issuing death threats. If anything happens to me, you will be held responsible." Omatsai, in his opinion piece published on Monday the 1st of August 2022, said that the Obi campaign was a shelter for miscreants and activists to express their love for Biafra in disguise. He accused Obi supporters of acting like revolutionaries when they were not, saying they see Obi as their own version of the Trojan War. Obi is the Greek gift that they will ride in the battle for conquest, Omatsai writes. Omatsai could not understand why the nation watched as Obi supporters harangued others. It is this definition that further drove the Obi soldiers to the extreme of campaign retaliation. They built an imaginary coffin and prepared imaginary burial ground for the man who had the guts to title his article Obituary. What they did was to announce a real obituary beyond literature. What Omatsai actually meant was that Peter Obi will face a political obituary by the time the result of the 2023 election was announced. But to Obi supporters, he crossed the red line. For Omatsai to have cried out the next day after his article was published by The Nation is to tell you the vehemence, brutality, and confidence of Obi soldiers on social media and on land.